Hello and welcome to part 5 of the 15-minute memory series, the penultimate episode. And this is where I take 15 minutes to make a line drawing from memory without any reference and try not to add any shading or correct any lines that have gone awry. This is the pen that I've been using for all of the drawings, not necessarily that shade of grey, but they're all the Tombow dual brush pen and bullet tip grayscale pens, and this one's just a slightly lighter grey. But yeah, this one being the second to last in this video series, and for full disclosure, what is it? It's number 11 of 13 in the order that I drew them. In fact, I'll even be able to work out the date, I think. So if that is it's a shame that I don't have videos of the others. I'm just looking on the wall because there's 13 in total. There's 5 down the left, and then there's 3 down the center and 5 down the right. And yeah, I can see the date on one of them, and from that I can just figure out that if that one's the 25th, where are we? 31st, I believe this was. If there is a 31st, I don't even know what month it is. What month is that? July has 31 days, I believe. Yeah, so this will be the last day of the month of July that I was drawing this. I think so anyway. I could have that off, but I can tell by the order that I've placed them on the wall, the chronological order, and I've dated one of them. So unless I've got the order wrong, which is possible, because I only started keeping track of the dates a couple in. It should be easy enough to find out, but I'm useless with that sort of stuff. This one is a memory of me hoovering up, and it's using one of those old school hoovers called a Henry, and it's got like a big, old fashioned attachments, that a huge coily pipe going all the way to it, and then like a funny little hat head face head. I don't really know how to describe him, but it does make me laugh, as simplistic as it sounds as a point of humour. But when I hoovered up, you'd pull him around the corner. I'd pull him, exactly. That's the point, is that I'm anthropomorphizing the product because it's got a little face on it. And when you do pull the hoover around the corner, you just see this little smile on his face. It's just dead funny. You forget that that's what you're doing. So this was funny little memory to think that, similar to, I think it was episode 1 of this series where I was drawing the desk and what I was watching. I'm still waiting to see if anyone in the comments can actually get that right. It's been a heated competition at the moment, I've got to tell you. But just like with that first drawing where I was drawing a series that I watch, and I had to try and remember, what does this character look like? Similarly, I did have a moment of, wait a minute, what does the face on the hoover look like? And I don't know how accurate this is. I can't imagine it's too accurate, but it's certainly similar enough that I haven't been actually compared. I say these things. If I go and actually have a look at the face, it could be completely different, but I haven't looked, and I quite like the style. It's my memory of what it looked like. I've got to stop giving a pronoun to this cleaning product. Cleaning product? What do you call it? Device? Home good? Electrical goods? Jesus, my brain just isn't working at the moment. I do apologise. But as far as it goes for, this kind of drawing from memory, it makes it a little bit easier for me because I like the big shapes that you can already use to block out. And by that, I just mean the big hoover pipe that you can see. That was the first thing that I did, and then the coil coming off that, and now I'm trying to do the little cartoon face. But just the pipe itself and how my arm comes up and grabs it makes like a strange, it's almost like a letter A. And it's just not a shape. Again, you just don't make these shapes by choices, I don't think. Anyway, I don't remember making weird, rounded, lettery looking shapes to block out an image. And I feel like that's one of the things that I can learn from doing this, is not only how to look at things clearer and better, remember things clearer and better, but also to draw from imagination with these as options. You know, like I've added to the arsenal of kind of memories and references that I can tap into from my memory of doing this drawing. I don't know, it all sounds a bit convoluted when it's memories and memories, but you know what I'm saying. It's kind of because I have done this composition without even considering it, because I've done all of these drawings just thinking, okay, I know what memory I'm going to do, and then I've got about 2 minutes of setting up before I can change my mind. And I don't think I have on any of them yet, but I tried to take that time to think if there's anything else better. And I can't remember one where I've done that. I may have. And on this occasion, I know that I didn't, because I was looking forward to trying to use the Hoover as a character like you would in a story. And it's one of the few where I draw myself into the image. I think I only did that with 3 of the drawings. Because it's not as much interest to me, but it also doesn't necessarily add anything. On this drawing, I think it does, because it makes it a bit more of a story, that you've got the hand pulling the Hoover through the house. Well, not yet, but at least, you know, pulling the Hoover's big trunk. As you can see, it makes him look elephant-like. I think it's all this combination of funny little features. But yeah, look at that funny face that I've got. I'm pretty sure that's not actually accurate for Henry, but that's what the Hoover's called, by the way. Not mine, the company. So yeah, I don't know how, I mean, the eyes are funny. It's just because it's a brush pen. I think I just went a bit loose. You know, when you press down like that, like you can see with that line, it's very flat and it's got a lovely spread on it. It makes a lovely line. It's really easy. It's like a felt brush pen. It's a real baby's version of a brush pen, but I do love it. It's really fun to use. It means that you can do things like that quite easy. Like, I don't know if you saw, like doing that little curl around the corner of an elliptical circle. And for this kitchen bin, I just try to do the bin lid so that you can see that I'm obviously stood taller than the bin lid, meaning that you can see the top of it. Doing that little elliptical circle. And this nib is really nice for doing stuff like that, because it's not nearly as difficult as it is with an actual brush pen, because it's just a bit more unwieldy that way. And I don't dislike them at all, but they become too precious to me to do drawings like this, whereas these felt brush pens feel part felt tip, so I'm not so fussed. That was a little redo of that line. Did you see that? I double swooped that line of the bottom of the bin. You're not supposed to do that. I don't think I do that on much else of the other 12 drawings, because I do remember that to be one of the rules of this practice, is that you're not supposed to redraw a line. As I understood it anyway, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I think that only adds to the practice if you've added another restriction. So if you can add any more, then do it, absolutely. But yeah, I really enjoy some of this type of stuff. I quite like doing perspective drawings, and especially if you can make it up and it doesn't have to be right, and you can just have fun with trying to pull off kind of a bit more of a loose drawing. I should have left those lines there and I added an extra one. It doesn't quite look right. Design wise, it looks a bit silly, that, but I shouldn't mention these things, but I do think that's probably more valuable than any of the other rubbish I waffle on with. I may as well tell you what the what's right and what's wrong. I mean, look at these lines. These are awful. This would have only taken a second to get right as well, but I tried to make up for it by drawing a line in the wall which indicates a different angle, which does actually happen in the kitchen. So the only reason I'm doing that though is because I drew the skirting board so poorly, you know, just for clarity, just for full disclosure kind of thing. The idea now is that is supposed to be the end of a wall, and then there's supposed to be the start of another wall, and on that wall you've got bits and bits of keys and things. I think that's what I'm drawing on the far wall there, and to try and create depth. It's really weird because I'm at the very top of the the surface that I'm drawing on, so everything's quite abstract up at that point. So I'm literally just saying from memory what happens at this part of the house, so that I can make something which looks like it recedes backwards and look correct. And at the end of it, you can't really see what I was building at the beginning, but for me it just gives me a sense of, if I don't have an underdrawing, at least I have this tunnel vision of drawing from what I'm kind of figuring out by each line. You kind of build upon each mark that you make, and when it's wrong, you just think, right, I can compensate to some extent. Now, that wasn't me redrawing lines there. I don't know if you just saw me doubling up on those. That's actually what it looks like, the design of the kitchen cabinets. So I'm quite happy with that. It's one of those things I wouldn't have thought until it came to drawing it. It's nothing which I've planned out. It's just see what happens and see what you can remember. On one of the drawings, I tried to do my front door of the house, and I was shocked at how much I don't know what my front door looks like. I mean, I know that I don't look at it that often, maybe that's the reason, but I still would struggle. I'm still really not sure what happens in the front door, which is hilarious, really. So yeah, have a think. How clearly do you think you could draw your front door now without looking at it? If you had more than 15 minutes just for the front door alone, how much do you reckon you can get right? And you may be able to do that really well. That would be really cool to see, because I think this is really interesting for how difficult it is. But at the same time, if somebody doesn't find it difficult, I don't think that would be uninteresting. I think that would be amazing to see someone just be able to tap right into things that they've obviously observed really well. And I really don't observe things very well. I'm not very observant at all. However, the kitchen is a space that I've been into several times, and some of this is it's angles that I've not studied, I've not consciously looked at and thought, what am I looking at, what happens? But I do know that I've looked at enough to be able to remember what the angles are that I'm looking at. So this isn't made up as much as it is just clearly remembered. It won't be accurate, but it's going to be, as far as angle wise, I know that that's pretty much what I see sometimes. And it's like this post that I'm drawing here, I've done much too far in. It would be far closer to the end. But I'm not too bothered. I think I do that for design reasons more than anything, because I don't really want the post to be overlapping the tube or the hole, the gap there in the cardboard. So that was the reasoning there. It's things that I should do more often, is make design choices, but it takes a bit of forethought usually, and I think I just became fortunate. I opportunistically, make these decisions as they arise, cross that bridge when you come to it kind of decision making, which is where you make mistakes. So this is certainly not how I do any kind of a job, obviously, but if I ever had to, there's the potential that I could do a certain amount of wobbly drawings in the future. If anyone ever wanted a better version of this, it'd be nice to try and create a whole environment, like a whole house worth of details, even if it's not, I could do this from imagination probably better and cleaner. It's probably more wobbly in my opinion, with all honesty, because I'm so much more nervous about drawing from memory than I would be from imagination. I would be have a far steadier hand and more confidence in the marks if it weren't based on trying to get this accurate. It really affects it. It's why it's stressful and really enjoyable, because I think you get it, a greater reward for your pain, for your pain and suffering. Sometimes I wonder whether this is a good idea when I've done details higher up and I consider drawing the tiles on a floor. And I remember I always used to struggle with how to do that. Whereas now my rule is that I understand perspective well enough to know that it's a spread of, you're never going to see the most central spread happen off to the left. So it's going to happen more towards the centre of your vision, obviously, if that makes sense. If you're looking straight down at the tiles on the floor that I'm currently drawing, it's going to have a wider surface area closest to you. Based on that, you try to spread the lines so that they go along with the walls, and then do that kind of perspective thing where it's almost like a Tron grid system where it's been stretched out into the distance, and you just try to kind of, blag a bit of that, because it's obviously, look at how poorly I've done it. And I'm glad that I did it, because as much as it's not great, when it comes to this drawing of the kitchen like this, it means that I've defined the floor where it weren't earlier. But yeah, I think that's it for this one, And once again, it was one which I learnt a hell of a lot from. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please watch another one of the videos. As I said, this is the penultimate episode of the series so far. I may continue later on, but this is number 5 of 6. So check out any of the other 4 or the 6th when it comes out. And I hope you enjoyed it. Try it yourself. Okay.